there was a part of this conversation where the scientists and the engineers would get together, and the conversation would typically go like this. There was one group that would always say, because we can do these things, because we've had the insight to develop these extraordinary technologies, that gives us the right to use them. That gives us the right to implement them. If we were never meant to implement them, we never would have figured it out. And during the Cold War years, when this was around weapons technology, this is a very important conversation. There's another school of thought, another group of scientists say, oh, hold on, not so fast. Just because we can doesn't mean we should. Just because we can do these things, maybe we ought to reel it in a little bit and think about the moral implications or what it means to our values in society. That conversation has never been resolved. It's an ongoing conversation right now. So it's like the gas and the brakes. On the one hand, we are going full bore, exploring the deepest mysteries of the universe and of life itself. And now we have the ability, as some people say, to hack the physics of the universe and to hack the biology of human life or all life. And once you do that, the proverbial genie is out of the bottle. You're never going to go back. Once you develop it, you're never going to undevelop it. Probably not going to set it on a shelf somewhere. You're going to use it and implement it some way. So the other piece of this is what I saw very quickly is technology isn't good or bad or right or wrong. It's the thinking that underlies the society when the technology is being developed. During World War II and the Cold War years, we poured tremendous amounts of energy and human power, human intellect, and money and technology into pushing the boundaries of what we know. And we discovered beautiful things like how to split the atom. Unfortunately, it was within the context of wartime that application was used for a weapon, when we all know there's so many beautiful things that can come from that. And the same is happening with transhumanism. There are places, and you just mentioned one. Elon Musk has a company called Neuralink, and it's actually been around for a while. And they are the first to develop the computer chip. It's not actually in the brain. It's interesting. It sits in a space above the brain and below the bone. And there's a little space in there. And there are 128 microfibers that go down into the neocortex. And they pick up information. There's sensors. Pick up information from the neurons, bring it back to the chip, and the chip then processes it and sends it through essentially a Bluetooth-type technology to the computer with no wires. That can be a beautiful thing for servicemen and women who have lost arms and legs and in the battlefields halfway around the world, Afghanistan, Iraq, to give a man or woman the ability to hold their babies in their arms once again with their prosthetics, or to brush their own teeth or comb their own hair or feed themselves. But what a beautiful, beautiful thing. And that's one of the good things that can come from all of this. There are now proposals on the table, governmental agencies proposing by the year 2030 that all newborns be implanted with a computer chip in the brain. They say to give them the edge in business and in technology and to be able to compete successfully in life. And when I say this to a live audience, I mean, I can see people's eyes. They say, not my babies. We don't want this. So there's a part of us. This is the generation, Andre. It's not going to drag on forever. We're at this pivotal point where the technology is at this stage where we are now making a decision. And I'm fascinated by this because it's never happened before. We now have the ability to make decisions that will not change so much the world around us, but the world within us forever in ways that can never be reversed. This goes all the way down to the genetic level. And when we define human through a very specific quality of DNA, we now have on the table proposals for medications, for different kinds of medical applications that will forever change who we are genetically. And we don't even know what that means. We don't even know what it means to be human. We're about to give our humanness away to the technology before we even know what it means to be fully human. I personally, I'm not saying it's right, wrong, good, or bad. I have my own personal feelings, but my sense is we owe it to ourselves as a species to find out who we are and what it means to be human before we give it away forever. But here's the beauty. I think when we discover the deep truth of what it means to be human and the power within the human cell and within our own divinity, we will feel less need and less drawn to bring that external technology into our bodies because we are the technology, literally. This is why I said what I said just a moment ago. When I was in the industry, I worked on a project called SDI, Star Wars Defense Initiative. It was back in the 1980s. And even then, we had the most amazing laser systems and radar systems and communication systems and computer systems. And who knows, where they are now. They've come so much further. But here's the thing, as advanced as every one of them were, I have never, to this day, I've never seen a technology developed outside of our bodies that doesn't mimic what we already do in some capacity within the cells and the systems of our bodies, except we do it better. We do it better. And so now it's a big statement. Let me just share what I mean by that. Let's take computer chips in the brain. When I'm with a live audience, and a lot of young people come to our programs, and they've been taught to worship the computers and the AI and computer chips are God. I mean, literally, that's what they've been taught. And when I say to a young person, and I have a really very honest conversation, computer chips are fast. Absolutely, they're fast. Efficient, totally. I mean, I'm with you on that. I was a senior computer systems designer for a company called Martin Marietta Defense Systems. And I was with the computers day and night, and they are impressive machines. So I'm not denigrating that in any way. But here's the thing. A computer chip will always be limited in its function by the physics of the stuff it's made of. So the atoms of silicon, for example, the space between those atoms only allows information to travel so fast between that space. And once that limit is reached, it can't be scaled. So that is the upper limit. They've reached the capacity for that computer chip. Now you look at a human neuron and you say, well, what is the upper limit on the human neuron? And the answer is we don't know. And here's the reason. This is so beautiful. Because every time we think we reach the capacity of a neuron to hold or transmit information, what happens is that neuron adapts and it morphs, it shifts, it changes to accommodate the greater capacity that we're asking it to do. We don't know what the top end is because every time we reach it, we exceed it. That's part of our humanness. And when young people begin to understand them, we don't have any chips that can do anything to that degree. And that's just one example. I mean, the immune system is another example. We'll probably have a whole conversation on the immune system and what that means. So the human body, the average human body has about 50 trillion cells in the body, give or take, whatever average is. Every one of those cells has an electrical potential. It's about 0.07 volts per cell. And you say, well, that's, it's a pretty small potential. And I agree, but you do the math, 50 trillion times 0.07 volts of electrical potential. Now you're talking about over 3 billion volts of electrical potential. What would it mean if we could harness that and then apply that to our healing or to our intuition or to the regeneration of the cells in our bodies? But it doesn't stop there, because every cell in our body, it functions as a transistor, it functions as a resistor, it functions as a capacitor, it stores and releases information. It is a photon generator. We're sending light, and light is information. So we're sending light into the field around us, and we're receiving light from the sun and from other individuals. We are photon receivers. Every cell stores information and retrieves it just like we do on a chip. And here, the young people love this. There's a technology out there called blockchain technology that is the foundation for Bitcoin and a lot of digital finance. Where did the idea for blockchain come from? Blockchain technology in computers actually mimics the way that DNA stores information in the cells. The information of the blockchain is immutable. Once it's there forever. It's transparent. If you know how to read it, anybody can read it. It can't be hacked. It is secure. And that's exactly why blockchain is so powerful with digital currencies. That's the way we store information in the human body. And I could go on. The point is, all of the technology in the world around us, to some degree, it's mimicking what we already do within our bodies, except we do it better.